Hello, folks. Welcome back to the podcast. Dan Kroll here for episode 38. And tonight I have Jeff Nielsen, a great all-around athlete for Britt. We're especially going to get into his track career, though. How you doing tonight, Jeff?
Good. Good to be here.
Good. I'm excited for this one. I told Jeff before we hit record, though, that my allergies / cold kicking in right now, so I don't sound the greatest, but we'll get through it, and I'll make sure I mute my mic if I ever need to do anything so I'm not too loud. But yeah, here we go. Before we get to Jeff, I'm going to recognize our sponsors. We have a record 20 sponsors for tonight. I was telling Jeff also that it's a big money maker episode for the Sanger Legacy Fund, so I appreciate all 20 of these sponsors that are on the screen here with me. That's the Britt Car, Truck, Bike, and Tractor Night Cruise, Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company, J. Hiscocks of State Farm Insurance, First State Bank, Mojo Productions, Daniel Auto Collision, Katie Salon and Tanning, Diemer Realty, Nick Schmidt, Kelly Real Estate, Sidetrack Lanes, Wilson's Diner, Britt Food Center, Levi Don Trucking, Miller and Sons Golf Cars, Britt Vet Clinic, The World with Nate Podcast, the Britt Bar and Grill, John and Cathy Weiland, and the Original Saw is a new sponsor I just picked up this last week or so. So thanks to those sponsors again. If you're interested in sponsoring, let me know. I'm especially looking for some new ones to start in June or July or so to fill out that part of my lineup. All right, spring sports here. Boys golf, head coach Chris Gobelai. They have 6 boys on their roster, but I don't have any results or their schedule on Varsity Bound, so I don't know how they've been doing. Girls golf, also Chris Gobelai. They don't have a roster posted. They don't have any results yet, but I do know they go to Lake Mills on the 22nd and Eagle Grove on the 25th for some meets. Boys track and head coach Matt Welp. They have 29 boys out for track this year, according to Varsity Bound. The only results so far are they got second at the Sanger Relays in Britt the other day. I did see that the shuttle hurdle team qualified for Drake and has one of the fastest times in the state, so that was pretty cool to see. On the 18th of April, they go to North Union, and on the 19th, they're at Belmont. Girls track head coach Mark Sanger. 20 girls are out for track this year. The team took 23rd at the IATC Indoor State Meet out of about 40 teams. They were 3rd at Humboldt, 2nd at the Sanger Relays as well. And on the 18th, they're also at North Union, and then Garner Hayfield Ventura on the 19th. So they go a little different direction than the boys that night. Just a reminder, head to sangerstrong.com to give to the Sanger Legacy Fund. To honor the great late coach Bob Sanger and his wife, Mrs. Sanger. They great people, pillars of our community for over 50 years. Just a great way to give back for all they've done. A lot of great things going on at the fund, scholarships and the new Hall of Fame. And anytime a team or activity needs some stuff, we're able to fund that for them. So go to sangerstrong.com. You can set up recurring payments if you'd like. Way back when, 10 episodes ago on episode 28, I talked to Jason Harle down in Florida. 20 episodes ago on episode 18, I talked to Russ King. Russ got his watch the other day in the mail, and I posted that on my Facebook page. He was pretty excited for that. And then 30 episodes ago on episode 8 was Don DeWaard from Kanawha. There was a great article in my Central College alumni magazine. Sorry, Jeff, to bring up Central College. I know you're a Simpson guy, but there's a great article about Don, about his coaching career. He's the mayor of Pella and very charitable guy. I'm going to try to get that posted on my page somehow, some way, and let people see that. It was pretty neat. And speaking of Kanawha, last night, April 12th, is when those tornadoes rolled through that area. And you guys, are you okay in Britt? Did you guys have much?
We didn't have any help farm here, but in town there was definitely some flooding in basements, I know. But
yeah, and then Kanawha had a tornado touchdown. It looks like almost everyone's trees got torn up pretty good. So
yep.
Yeah, but no injuries, no house damage, it sounds like, for most people. So that's good. So
yes, it is.
Yeah, I was grateful to hear there was nothing terribly serious there. All right, I'm gonna hit a few sponsors first, because like I said, we have 20, and then we're gonna get into it. Kelly Real Estate has been in business for 62 years, starting with Paul Kelly. Paul handed the business off to Steve and DeAnna in 2017. Steve and DeAnna have been involved with the business for over 20 years now. It's a great way to get to know people and get involved in the community. Kelly Real Estate this year added Rachel Swanson to their team and office manager Nora Clark. So if you're looking for just the right starter home, the perfect forever home, or a unique fixer-upper, or even transition into your retirement home, call Kelly Real Estate at 843-4102. Mojo Productions is another awesome sponsor of mine. Based in Britt, Mojo is your full-service DJ business. They specialize in wedding DJing. They're fully insured and they give back to the community. Jared is also the presenter of the Britt Car, Truck, Bike, and Tractor Night, another sponsor. Contact Jared at 515-408-1074 or send him a message on Facebook. Then Miller & Son Golf Cars, family-owned operation with over 50 years of experience in the business. Skip and Jim Miller worked together with their dad Monty until his passing in 1996. Associated with Easy Go, Miller & Sons now calls on over 1,000 golf cars in 3 states. Companies and courses are always extremely happy with their products, service, and their honesty. This has resulted in double-digit growth each passing year. Based in Britt, Miller & Sons employs 18 full-time employees and 3 part-timers. The next generation is being trained as we speak to ensure long-term stability. For more information, contact them at 843-4132. Email them at customerservice@millergolfcars.com. Visit them online at millergolfcars.com. Thanks to those sponsors tonight. All right, let's get it going. Less of me talking, more of you talking. So I always like to start with just what's up, how's life, talk about the family, the kids, the job, whatever's going on outside of Britt.
Okay, yeah, been married Becky Smith and actually dated in high school, so it's kind of high school sweetheart. So
Nice.
and we got 4 kids, Zach and Rachel, Jameson, and Chloe. And I'm fortunate enough that I'm farming with Zach. And Jameson, my son, works the job, but he also farms with us. And Chloe works for me 2 days a week on the farm, and more in the fall and spring. She works full time, as much as John Swenson lets her.
Yeah.
She works in there otherwise. And our daughter Rachel is out in Indiana. So yeah, we're farming here on northwest of Britt and been out here since I think it's 85.
Nice. And yeah, I went to high school with Zach. He was a year older than me, so we played football together and had some classes together, and always had a good time with him and Aaron Rasmussen and Brad
Sure.
Gremmer and some of those guys. So Becky was a Smith. Which Smiths would she have belonged to then?
Paul and Marlene.
Okay. Yep. It's like I've been out of Britt long enough that I know obviously a lot of those families are connected, related, but it kind of blends and I forget who's with who. So
Sure.
Yeah, awesome. How far outside of Britt are you guys?
Well, we're about 6 miles straight west of Britt and a little bit north.
Okay, gotcha. And again, I lived in Britt all those years, but I'm like, oh, they live in the country. I never really knew exactly where most people lived. So just kind of
I
knew the general area. But yeah, all right, so we're gonna start with some football. And I know you said previously that your first couple of years I'm a little hazy at times, but
Sure.
one thing I enjoy is kind of those in-between seasons of Coach Sanger football. You know, we have like the beginning years, 73 when he won state. From 74 to 83, had some good seasons, but they weren't obviously like the seasons we know about today, going to the playoffs and winning championships. And I'm just fascinated by early, younger Coach Sanger stories and stuff. So
Sure.
hoping we can chat about that a little bit. So you played football at Britt from 76 to 79. Your first couple seasons, 76 and 77. Did you play much varsity? Kind of filled in on occasion? What was that like?
Freshman year, I just played JV. Sophomore year, there was, I think it was Dean Studer and myself. They brought us up to varsity. We played some, but yeah, we just kind of fill in and run in plays, I guess. So
yeah,
it was kind of the first couple of years.
And you're fast, so was it kind of pitch it out to Jeff on occasion?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Let him run, get some open space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Looking at some of the scores here from that first season, like I said, you played JV, but the varsity went 4-4. That was pretty common for that era, 3-5, 4-4, 5-3, 6-2 type of seasons. And then your sophomore year, like you said, you played a little varsity. You guys were 5-3, beat Rockford, Forest City by a point, Buffalo Center, beat Lake Mills, and then beat Garner by a point. you remember much of those close games at all, or is it kind of
I really don't, I just, as being on varsity, it's kind of, underclassmen, it's kind of more of the experience, just being a part of the team and enjoying it. So, but yeah, more of my memories would probably be in my junior year,
Okay. Yep. And we'll get to that here in just a little bit. Do you have any who are your assistant coaches, first of all? Do you remember?
I was trying to think about that because I couldn't find any information I wanted, but I know like Barton was there, Terry Barton. I'm not sure his name, and I think I'm not sure if there was. I can't think. I just don't recall right offhand.
Yeah, Bob Horner probably wasn't he? I just did a podcast with him. Those years sound right.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Bob told some good stories about Coach Sanger off the air that couldn't be said on the air a little bit during that time. But if you haven't checked out Bob's podcast, it was really good.
Yeah,
the last one I did. It was fun. So varsity team, you went 4-4, 5-3. Just a few years removed from that 73 state championship. Do you remember much about the 73 team, watching them kind of growing up?
Yeah, I do remember, watching them. Actually, my brother was a senior that year, and I think they wanted him to come out and be a part of the team, and he chose not to. But yeah, I remember following him as a younger, football fan.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to that championship game? Do you remember in Kinnick?
No, we just went to the kind of the playoff games around here.
Yep, the one against Postville at home was played in Britt. So yeah. I did a podcast with Bob Eisman the other. You said you watched that one, Bob and Craig. So when I was doing some of the research on your JV seasons there, you did some damage on JV. Against Lake Mills, you had a 70-yard touchdown called back on a clip. Do you remember who the guilty lineman was on the clip there? We can call him out.
Probably shouldn't say it. It probably won't be right, would it?
Take a guess and ask for forgiveness later, type of thing. But
I actually can't remember exactly who it was, but I remember the play going, you're turning around going, what?
Are you kidding me? Yeah, I have to go back. Yep. And then scored on a 40-yard sweep play. This is literally like there's just like a little sentence or two in the Brit paper on how the JV team did. It didn't say a whole lot, but what was Bob like as an athlete? What do you remember about Bob and some of those other guys on JV?
Oh, it was just a lot. I just remember having fun with them, and Bob was good. I mean, enjoyed playing football with him. But yeah, I guess as far as any memory, I can't really think of one. It's just he was a good runner. So
yeah. Was Bob as loud and crazy in high school as he is now? I mean, we joked for his podcast we didn't even need to have him on Zoom. We could just have him yell out of his back porch and his back deck, and we could hear him.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. Yeah. You always knew he was there, but it was always good.
Yeah, didn't get into too much trouble.
No,
that's good. Like I said, you remember more about your last two seasons, especially your junior year. We're going to get to those in just a second. Got to get to a couple more sponsors. I'd like to thank Renee, Diemer, and Diemer Realty. Hometown hospitality and service with a smile. That's what Diemer Realty is all about. Helping buyers and sellers make a smooth transition when moving within or to their area is their priority. Serving North Central Iowa since 1999, Diemer Realty has steadily grown over the years, establishing an outstanding record of sales in the North Iowa area that speaks to their dedication to every customer. That's Diemer Realty. Go to diemerrealty.net to check them out. My next one is another podcast, the World with Nate podcast. He's my next sponsor. Nate Allison is the brother of a good friend of ours here down in Indianola. He started this podcast called The World with Nate. He hits on a lot of great topics, and his goal and overlying purpose of the podcast is to help and inspire people. He's a native Iowan. He loves helping people reach their dreams. Check out his podcast. Again, it's called The World with Nate. It's on Apple and Spotify and anywhere else you can find your podcasts. And then Sidetrack Lanes in Britt. They're also sponsoring the podcast. Sidetrack Lanes opened in Britt in 1996. Go bowl at 411 Main Avenue North in Britt. Enjoy some food and a drink or two while you're bowling. Join a league and check out their events on their Facebook page or call Sidetrack Lanes at 843-4567. check out their Facebook page. That's Ron, Bauer, and Sidetrack Lanes. I'd like to thank them for sponsoring. And then a couple more here. Levi Dawn Trucking. Thanks to Levi Dawn and his trucking company for sponsoring the podcast for several episodes. Call Levi at 641-860-0077 or look him up on Facebook. That's Levi Dawn Trucking and Britt. And then John and Cathy Weiland, they're sponsoring tonight's episode. John is actually my next podcast guest, and these two are just very generous and wanted to sponsor your episode, Jeff. So thanks to the Weilands for doing that. All right, let's get to your 1978 season. That'd be your junior year. This is where you shined a little bit here. You said you got on varsity, used that speed. You had 114 carries for 887 yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. You caught 4 passes for 45 yards, had 4 interceptions on defense, 1 fumble recovery. You always were returning kicks and punts, it looked like. You had 62 tackles on defense, which was 5th best on the team, and the team went 6-2. What do you remember about that junior season of football?
The one thing that stuck out is that we were, if I remember right, when we were like freshmen, we didn't have as good a season as we'd like, but as we got to be, juniors, we just, and with the senior team, we just had a lot of fun together. We laughed a lot. I remember Todd Rasmussen, I think, was our quarterback, and he would keep us very loose in the huddle and joke around. And just our games, we had a lot of close games, and it was just kind of exciting year, and it was just great because the team just came together, I thought.
Yep. Speaking of your games, I have the scores here. You started the season beating Rockford 14-6. Then you lost to Belmont 35-12. Beat Forest City at home 13-6. Beat Buffalo Center at home 37-14. Then a really good game was the Lake Mills game on the road, 31-28. A lot of back and forth in that game. You beat Northwood 20-13. Osage typically did what Osage did back in that day and trounced most of the teams they competed against. We lost that one 35-6, and then beat Garner 28-12. One thing about that decade, besides 1 or 2 years, we pretty much took care of business against Garner in that decade. I remember not seeing many L's next to that game in my records. So do you remember, were you guys close at all to making the playoffs? Like Belmont, I know, won by 23, Osage by 29. Was there much chance to make the playoffs with 2 losses back then?
No, I think you pretty much had to go undefeated, and I believe there's like a point system, and I think that's where Osage struggled to make it, just because they were a larger school. Yeah,
they get penalized for beating smaller teams typically, which it's like, how do you control that if you're playing in conference play, which makes sense why they eventually went to district play in 92 just to avoid that. So anymore though, 32 teams in the playoffs in 2021, you can have a losing record and make the playoffs, which is hard pill to swallow for some people like me, but it is what it is. So
no, that Lake Mills game was, like you said, was exciting. I remember I think it was Billy Cook caught a pass right down like on the 3 or 4 yard line, and then I think we scored with Todd Rasmussen maybe ran it in with like 5 seconds to go or something. Yeah, that sounds about right. So that's, the memories we've had, just a lot of fun, and we laughed a lot, and just Sanger was it was a good year. So
what was he like as a coach back then? Was he, we all know who Coach Sanger was, just pretty down to business type of guy, but would he let loose and joke a little bit back in those days, or?
Oh yeah, he would, do that. I just remember, he'd get the best out of everybody. That was the one thing about it. He wanted everybody to succeed, and so I had a lot of good memories of the football years. So
and talk about the Rasmussen boys a little bit. They're ones that intrigue me. I in a lot of my research, they come up a lot, and it's Greg and Todd. Is there another one? Or is it just those two?
I can't think right now. I remember, Greg and Todd are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah, do you know where they are these days or what they're up to?
I don't know. There was Kelly too.
Kelly Rasmussen. Yep, there you go. Yep.
Because he was a good golfer, I know.
Okay.
And yeah, Todd was just a lot. I mean, he kept us loose and stuff and just joked around in the huddle that was the memories I've had from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know where those guys would be these days or what they're up to?
Todd was at our last class reunion. I talked to him and I can't recall where he's at right now. I'm sure he told me, but I forgot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think Kelly, his younger brother's down in like Ankeny, maybe possibly.
Okay. None of them are local at this
No.
point. Okay.
No.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and then senior year, you didn't get to experience a whole lot of your senior year of football.
No.
1979, you guys were 4-4 overall. Talk about what happened pretty much right away.
Yeah, it was the first series on the Rockford game, and we came out, and I don't know. I think it was within the first 5 or 6 plays. I ran out of bounds on one play, and I got tackled out of bounds. A couple guys landed on me, and then I think we finished the drive, and we got in for a touchdown, and I went in for the 2-point conversion, got hit again, and that's when they found out my collarbone broke, and so that was the end of that. But
yeah, what was Coach Sanger more concerned about at that point? Not having you for football or possibly not track?
Well, I think it just was kind of I think our team that year we were really coming together. We had a lot of good football players that were from the year before returning, and it was just kind of a sad deal because I was excited for it, and I know like Tim Weiland, he was a really good offensive lineman for us, center, and I think he even got hurt that year. So we just had some injuries, and it's just kind of the way it goes. And you know,
fully healthy, how do you think you guys would have done that year?
That's a good question. I would hope that we would have done as well as the year before.
Yeah, because looking at you guys went 4-4. Belmont won by 35. You lost to Fort City on the road by 8. So, I mean, that's probably a winnable one right there if you're healthy. 2 weeks later, you lost to Lake Mills by 10. I mean, fully healthy, that's 2 touchdowns difference. And then Osage was a 40-point game. So that probably wasn't going to change a whole lot.
Right. They were just good.
Yeah. And you said before we recorded, you could have possibly come back in that last game.
Right.
But it's one of those things. There's no playoffs on the line. Why risk getting hurt again, type of thing.
Right. And I enjoyed wrestling, so I wanted to wrestle too. And it's just, and I was probably not in the best shape, recovering and stuff. So
yeah. And so let's shift right into wrestling. I didn't find a whole lot on your wrestling career. It was probably more that I was focused more on getting the track info. What was your wrestling career like in your 4 years?
Oh, I probably was a 500 wrestler, but it was more, I mean, for me, it was, Coach De Leon was just an awesome coach. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of, I had a lot of good memories of just our team, like I said, that year. I can remember one instance, I think we might've been getting ready for like the sectionals, and De Leon had us all lay down on the mat with our heads down, and he was talking to us, and all of a sudden he would grab you one at a time and he would take you over and he would put you on top of the podium, like for first place to get you kind of motivated. And he did a lot of positive things like that. And he was a great guy. I was blessed to have him as a coach and just our team. We had a good time when we go to tournaments, and really thankful for all the fun we had in those years too.
Yeah, who are some of your teammates in wrestling that would have maybe had some success?
Well, like Mike Horseman,
yep.
he got runner-up, I think, one year, and Mike and I were pretty close in weight, and so we would wrestle each other quite a bit. Bill Cheesy, John Doughan, Gary Hiscocks. There was just, should have probably wrote some of these down. And Chris Foy, and there's a lot more than that, but just a lot of Tim Weiland was a teammate too. He wrestled, and
the Cooks, Dwayne and Bill right around that time.
Bill was, you're right. And I was a freshman when Dwayne was a senior. So I was,
Okay.
he was in the wrestling room too. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of guys out for wrestling, and DeLeon made it fun. And I remember Coach Ted Beath, he was the art teacher back then, and he was assistant coach, and he was a great guy too, and a lot of fun. So we were very fortunate to have I think of all the coaches we've had and how good they've been and how motivated, they motivated you, wanted to succeed.
Yeah. So you said you were about a 500 wrestler, so you weren't one of those guys going to state winning championships, but how did Coach DeLeon treat you any different than any of those guys that were making it to Des Moines?
No, not a bit. He would treat everybody. That's what was great about him, is he wanted you to do well. And I made it to districts twice. I just couldn't quite make it to the state tournament, and just the way it is. But I mean, I have good memories from it. So
how close were you to making it to state at districts?
Oh, my senior year, I lost a really tough, close match, and yeah, that was a hard one.
Yeah,
because wrestling was, growing up, that was probably the big thing for a lot of us young kids, because of the program was so successful.
Yeah,
with the Higgins and the Stevensons and Dwayne and all them. So
yeah. Were you did you keep in touch with Coach DeLeon throughout the years living in the area?
Yeah, we every now and then you'd run into him, but yeah. So he there was I think it was one of the tournaments we went to. He was trying to seat me because he said, I think it was a senior, and he said, well, I have a 2-time state champ that I need to seat first. And nobody asked him what sport it was in. So that was kind of a fun one there. We still talked about that even years later about it. So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And you were saying too how many great coaches you had. I have a student teacher right now, and he plays baseball at Simpson. So I said, yeah, I got to mix this Simpson guy into my podcast. I guess it hurts as a central guy to do it, but he knows all about Coach Sanger, because you know how us Britt people are. We like to tell people about Britt stuff. And I said, well, he's not the only one. I told him about Coach DeLeon and Coach Perkins, and I just kind of went on. And then he goes, so who's the guy you're podcasting with? I'm like, well, he was a state champ in track, and he held records in track for 30 years. And he goes, didn't you say a couple times ago you had a 2-time state champion? So we started going through the list of all the guys I've podcasted with. And he goes, this is all from your school? And I'm like, yeah. It's amazing when you sit down and really write it all out, how much success we've had at a small school.
I would agree.
So yeah. And then let's get into some more of my sponsors, which further highlights the awesome community we have over in Britt and Kanawha. Back to Jared Wingert, the Britt Car, Truck, Bike, and Tractor Night Cruise. I'd like to thank them for sponsoring 30 of my episodes. Jared Wingert and company, they run these great events. They'll take place on July 20th, August 17th, and September 21st. They're all on Wednesday nights. He also, like I said, owns Mojo Productions. The 5th annual event has free kids activities. Trophies are presented for all categories, and a $1,000 award is given out at each show. You can't beat free admission and great food and drink from Britt vendors only. Check out the video. I'll have linked to the podcast at their website, brittcarcruise.com. The Original Saw, this is their first episode that they're sponsoring. Thanks to Kevin Wilson for making this happen. The Original Saw Company is the leader in American-made radial arm saws, crosscut power saws, and beam saws. They also offer accessories such as extension tables, measuring and clamping systems, dust shrouds, and miter saw stands. Original Saw's product line includes items for both the hobby woodworker and complex automated industrial settings. Their sister company, Williams and Hussey Machine and Tool, manufactures and sells molders and accessories for making custom and stock moldings and trim. Original Saw provides, through Jones Machinery, a preventative maintenance and repair service of wood and metalworking machinery through the Midwest. Want to know more about Original Saw Company? Check them out at originalsaw.com. I will say that I only understood about every third word in that ad, because I am not a handyman / shop type of guy. And so when Kevin sent this to me, I'm like, I'm just going to read this with confidence, because I don't know what any of those things are. But anyway, my next sponsor, Michael and Brianne Ewing of Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company. They have locations in Britt, Kanawha, Clarion, Belmont, and Dow's. Mike is a 1998 graduate of West Hancock. His family has been privileged to care for the communities of Britt and Kanawha since 1977. You can find them online at ewingfh.com or go to Facebook or give them a call at 843-3839 or 762-3211. That's Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company. They've sponsored pretty much all the episodes I've done. Head up to Wilson's Diner at 441 Main Avenue North in Britt for breakfast, lunch, and supper. They're closed on Tuesdays, but open every other day of the week. Check out their Facebook page for which days and what times they're open. Call Wilson's Diner at 843-0550. Wilson's Diner is great food at great prices, and they look forward to serving you. That's Wilson's Diner in Britt. And then the Britt Food Center is the locally owned, family-operated hometown grocery store in Britt. They offer fresh produce, fresh cut meat, fresh bakery, and homemade deli items. They're working hard to meet the needs and requests of their community. Britt Food Center is a proud supporter of West Hancock schools. They're open 7 days a week from 8 to 8 daily, except on Sunday when they're open 8 to 6. Check them out at brittfoodcenter.com or follow them on Facebook for deals and specials. Call them at 843-4429. All right, I got to catch my breath. I said with this congestion, I can barely talk. So let's talk some track here. Your freshman year was 1977, and you started making noise right away at the state level, even as a freshman. So your freshman year, you made it to state in the 100-meter dash, and then the 440-yard relay, you, Dwayne Cook, Bob Cook, and Brent Swanson. That same foursome, you guys made it to state in the 880. And then you were second in the 100-meter dash at the North Iowa Conference meet. You lost to a guy named Mark Greiman from Garner. That sounds familiar to me, the Greiman name at least. Yep. You were first in the 400 relay, and your team got second to Belmont that year. What do you remember about conference and state in that freshman year?
Oh, we had a lot of good memories from that. I mean, I remember Mark Greiman, he was the runner-up in state the year before. And so, yeah, it was definitely fun running against him. And I really enjoyed, running with, Dwayne and Bob and Brent too. Yeah. I was the freshman, so you can probably imagine what that's like running with the upperclassmen. They kind of brought me in right, so. Yeah. What good time.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. So looking at state here, you guys won a state championship your freshman year in the 440, which is weird. I want to say 4x1. I don't know what you call that back then. But you guys won state with a time of 44.1 seconds. Do you remember how close that race was? You and Bob and Dwayne and Brent?
I think it was pretty close, but Brent kind of came through it for us and anchored well. So, yeah.
What leg were you in that race?
My freshman and sophomore year always led off.
Okay.
Brent he anchored for us. Yep. So, yeah. So it was, it was good. I was pretty excited, that we won.
So were you pretty excited about track from the get-go, like as a young kid, or was it kind of like, oh, I'm going to go out for track, and then you found out, I'm kind of fast, or was it a passion of yours at the beginning?
No, I didn't really realize it when I was younger. I mean, I started running in junior high and had some success. And so, after that, I started to get more excited about it. I didn't expect to have, make it to state, I guess. So I was really thankful for that.
Yeah. And then walk away with the state title.
Yeah.
Pretty quick. Yep. And then the 880-yard relay took second. Again, how close was that race? How close were you to winning a second title?
I think we were a little bit behind, but we were right in there for sure. That one was run in the morning, I remember, and mornings were, how you are, you're not quite as loose as you are in the afternoons.
Yeah. It's hard to get a routine down, compared to a normal school day.
But no, we did well, and we were very thankful that we placed in that.
What were your nerves like that first race at state?
I was very nervous because, it's a whole different environment with all the people and just the crowd and just the other teams, everybody's there. We're all good. So, it was definitely a learning experience.
Yep. And then the 100-meter dash, you were fourth as a freshman.
Yes.
The champion that year was Richard Van Pelt from Panora Linden, which is now Panorama School District. That's where my student teacher actually got hired to be a teacher this coming year. So thought that was kind of fun. We just talked about him. You're 0.2 seconds away from winning a state championship in that race. So first to
Right.
fourth, difference of 0.2 seconds. I'm guessing that's pretty common in track, that it's
It was
tight of a race and that type of a race.
interesting fact about Rich is when I went to Simpson, he was running there.
Oh, okay.
We ran with each other. His senior year, my freshman year, because I think at nationals he was our anchor leg.
Nice.
So 4x1. So it was or 4x4. Well, it was really kind of a neat experience to meet up with him again.
Yeah, remembered each other.
Yeah.
Yep. Team wise, you guys were second at state. You were 3.5 points behind Corning. Overall, talk about that freshman year. What was it like running for Coach Sanger? You obviously knew him from football, but what was he like as a track coach compared to football?
Oh, he was good. I remember even when I went into college, the coach, he commented how well, Sanger did with coaching, teaching me the basics and stuff like that. So he was a very good track coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, even in track, we had a lot of fun too as a team and laughed a lot.
Yeah. Who would have his assistant been then? I think Horner said he did for 1 year, maybe. I can't remember, but do you remember who helped?
Well, I didn't know if I think his last name is Porter, was maybe.
Yeah. Reed Porter.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
he might have been possibly. And that's who I think that's what I remember right now.
Yeah. What were some of your practice? Do you remember what your practices were like? Did you do a lot of 400s? That's what I always remember from being out for track, was a lot of 400s.
Yeah. Well, for us, it was running a lot of, I remember, since I didn't run quarters at the time, I ran a lot of 300s, and stuff. So he would, we were in shape. I mean, he worked us hard. And one thing about going into track, from wrestling, is Coach De Leon, we were in excellent shape coming out of wrestling because of as much running as we did and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And just carried through.
Go right from football to wrestling to track. You don't have time to not be in shape.
Exactly.
Yep. Definitely. Yep. So at this point, you're a freshman. You won a state title in a relay. You got fourth in the 100. You got runner-up in another relay. You took second in state as a team. What were you feeling like going into your last 3 years of track? Did it just start to kind of get that fire for it, or was it still just kind of like, oh, we did well, now it's time for football again?
Yeah, probably the second there. I mean, I enjoyed football and I guess all the sports, so you just kind of went from one to the other, but excited for one of them.
Were you starting to get any college looks that early, or back then was it more they looked at upperclassmen that early?
Yeah,
at that stage, or
I don't believe that early. No, I don't think I got anybody talking to me back then.
Yeah, anymore in this day and age, you have fifth graders posting their stats and videos on social media, and these colleges are looking at kids when they're 10. It's like, oh geez, just a different world we live in nowadays. But
exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get to your sophomore here, but I'm going to hit a few more sponsors quick. My next sponsor is Daniels Auto Collision in Charles City. Owner Jason Daniels is a 1990 West Hancock grad. Whether you need a minor fix-up or complete collision repair, Daniels Auto Collision is North Iowa's premier auto body shop, and they'll have your vehicle back on the road looking better than new. With over 30 years experience and all major insurances accepted, why take your chances with anyone other than Daniels Auto Collision? Call them at 641-220-3805. Email them at danielsautocollision@gmail.com or check them out at danielsautocollision.com. And I know I talked to Jason the other day, and they're hoping to expand back into the Britt area at some point in time. So that'll be cool to get some new businesses in the Britt area. Jay Hiscocks, I'm sure he was a busy guy today. His State Farm team in Britt is a proud supporter of West Hancock and the Sanger Legacy Fund. They can help you with all your insurance needs, including auto, home, life, farm, business, and renters insurance. For a free quote or review, give Jay or Lindsay a call at 843-3563. Thanks to Jay and his team for sponsoring a whole bunch of these episodes. Thank you to Nick Schmidt for sponsoring another episode tonight. Nick is a 2000 graduate of West Hancock and just wanted to simply give to the Legacy Fund. So thanks again to Nick Schmidt for sponsoring. And then Jim Diemer from that 1973 football team. He and the Britt Vet Clinic are sponsoring the podcast. The Britt Vet Clinic is located in downtown Britt. They're there for all your small animal vet needs and swine vet services. Call them at 843-3416 or email the Britt Vet Clinic at brittvetclinic.com at gmail.com. Sorry. Sophomore season 1978. You guys got second at conference, which, like we talked at in other episodes, the North Iowa Conference back in this era was just tough all around. You know, you name it, whatever sport. It wasn't just top heavy. It was just, there was a lot of parity, a lot of strong teams in the conference. So for you guys to get second is a pretty big deal, I'd say, at conference. You won the 400-meter relay and you were first in the 100. Did you run all like 4 events at conference or during the year, or did he kind of save you for a little bit later?
Well, you couldn't run 4 events. You could run 3 events and do a field event if you want, but they wouldn't let you run 4. So,
yep. And you can run 4 now, right? Did they change that? Yeah. Yep. So would you ever do a field event or anything?
You know, my ankles couldn't put up with it for long jumping, and I actually high jumped, but then we had Bob Eisman and then Barry Reinhardt, good friend of mine, who was a really good high jumper, you know, and so I did that like in, I think it was junior high, and when I got into high school, I was just out of a job because of Bob and Barry.
Yeah. How there's still pole vault back then, right? Or was it just phased out about then?
No, it went on. It was still going on then.
How did Coach Sanger convince people to pole vault? Or did he not have many pole vaulters? I have no idea.
I don't recall that when I was in school, I was trying to think I'm not sure who did it actually, because it was kind of a, dangerous sport.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You need a helmet and a lot of padding around probably to even attempt it. Yeah, but I'm just thinking, so Coach Sanger, when I was in school, one meet, he needed somebody to run a 2-mile race. And I think it was Mitch Horstman that decided, I'll run 2 miles for you, coach, because coach is like, well, there's only going to be so many kids in this race. And if one kid races in it and finishes, we're going to get at least 1 or 2 team points. And that might tie us for the meet or whatever. I'm like, I could see him convincing a kid to pole vault. And even if he does terrible at it, he might still get a team point or something. Wow. I could see him trying to.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, he was the master at knowing how to maximize points.
Exactly. Doing that as a meet was going on.
So. Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna entry in here quick. We're gonna quick pick up a point. So. Yep. So going to state, you were the state champion in the 100-meter dash. This was your first individual state championship of 3 in the 100. Talk about winning that race. 11.1 was your time. What was that feeling like as a sophomore to win a state title by yourself?
Yeah, I was pretty excited. I wasn't supposed to win. I think the kid was Kevin Kuchel, maybe. He was supposed to win, and I ended up beating him in finals. So yeah, I was pretty excited about it. Do
you remember where that Kuchel was from?
I want to say Kingsley Pearson.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember watching my kids run at state, and that Kuchel's kids were running that state too. At the same time. So
still at Kingsley.
Yeah. So
that's cool. Yeah, because Zach ran the 4x1 once. Yep.
I think you're right. Yep.
With probably Rass, Chad Eisman, and Lance Hill, maybe that would have been about.
That could be. I think you're right.
Sounds about right. That would have been my junior year, Zach's senior year. So yeah, kind of thinking that sounds about right.
Yeah.
At this point, did you feel any pressure to win 2 more state titles in the 100, or was that so far off? It's a year from now, I'll worry about it then.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about it as much. I was just pretty excited I won, and that was the first year that the meters came in
Yeah. Yep.
That's one thing I remember. So like if you won, like you had state record.
Yeah.
It's kind of a given, but
Yeah.
well,
I got this puppy for at least a year. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. But no, I guess I didn't, looking back, no, I don't recall thinking about like the following year because, football again is coming and wrestling. So.
Yeah. And you seem like a pretty chill guy that it's just kind of go with the flow type of thing. Just enjoy it, but don't get.
I enjoyed it. And, the relays were a lot of fun, even back then. I mean, we placed, both our relays placed that year too. And we had and you wrote like Brian Thompson, Rick Hewling and Brent Swanson that year. So
yeah,
it's a lot of fun running with the guys.
Yeah. Talk about, I don't know much about Brent Swanson. That name comes up every once in a while. What do you know about him, or where's he these days?
I think he might be down in Florida possibly.
Okay.
And he was a good sprinter, and he always anchored and ran the 200 a lot. So, but yeah, he was a really good athlete in track.
Yeah, and then Brian Thompson, I don't think I'd heard that name at all until I was doing this research. And Rick Hewling, the Hewling name came up, throughout a couple generations of Brit people. Are either of them local, or much about them?
No, I'm not sure where Brian is. I think he was actually a state trooper at one time.
Okay.
And Rick, I'm not sure where he's at. So
yeah, it's always just fun to see where people end up,
Sure.
From Little Brit, Iowa to wherever they might end up. So
yeah.
I found a picture of this 1978 team. Carol Cousins. Don't know a darn thing about him, hardly. What do you remember about Coach Cousins? Do you know how he got to Brit, or where he ended up after Brit, or anything?
I don't know how he got there or when he left. I just remember he was a lot of fun to be around. And I think in your podcast with Bob, he mentioned when we went to state that year, we gave, Coach Cousin a t-shirt, and on the back we put javelin catcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, it was fun to have him around. He was just a good assistant coach. So
yeah, that's another good point here. Javelin, that was still an event, right?
No, it wasn't.
That was gone by then. Okay.
Yeah, it was gone, but we just thought that was him,
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's an event that's always kind of baffled me. I'm like, because that's not the safest event ever. I mean, you can clear an area, but all it takes is one person to not know where they're going at a meet and step right in front of a spear almost.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Like, man, it was just a different time back then. Can you imagine in 2022, kids chucking around a javelin? And
no.
There'd be lawsuits all over the place. But,
right.
Yeah, Carol Cousins. I'm curious to look him up and see if he's still around or where he is these days.
Yeah.
That's weirdly one of my hobbies is looking up people from the past up there and seeing where they are.
Right.
So, yeah, as a team, you guys got fifth, so you were runner-up your freshman year, fifth your sophomore year. Not too shabby of a start to your high school career. 1979 would be your junior season. You again won the 100-meter dash at state, and you also won the 200. Had you been running the 200 freshman and sophomore year, or is that the event you picked up that year?
I would run it occasionally as a sophomore. I ran it, through junior high and stuff, and as a freshman, not a lot, because Brent would run it quite a bit, Swanson, and then I'd just be in the relays with the other guys and run the 100.
Yeah. So did you not run any relays your junior year then? You just stuck to your two events?
Yeah, we ran our junior year, the 4x1 one.
Okay.
So, and that's with,
there, yep. It's literally on my notes. I just didn't look far enough down. Yeah.
And that was kind of that year, Clarion had a really good 4x1, 4x2. And in the finals, I think they dropped the baton on the first change. And then another team that was really good, and I can't think of what town it was, but they false started. So we were down to like 5 or 6 teams is all. So we were. The
history books don't say the other stuff you just mentioned. It just shows who won it. So
And we were in the other guys, when I got to a town, we were ahead. And so that was kind of nice.
Yeah. I think we need to put together a reunion and for sure have Bob run a 100-meter dash, hand it off to you, and whatever happens. I just think that would be entertaining to watch. Maybe at Hobo Days this year, we can get a group together.
Yeah.
He'll
No, it
appreciate
was
it.
fun. But Bob was he was a great guy just a great teammate and just fun to be around.
Yep. Talk about Anthony DeBoer, foreign exchange student. That was probably a nice little pleasant surprise for you guys.
It was. I think he was a good hurdler too. And I think he might have false started at districts or something like that. So
Okay.
he didn't. I think he would have probably made it to state. But yeah, he was definitely an asset and really great to have on the team, So
Yeah, yep. After the Eisman episode, because I think I mentioned in there, do you guys know where this Anthony guy is now? And I think it was Barry Reinhardt who messaged me and said, here's his information if you want to contact him. So
yeah. We see him on Becky's at the Facebook. He's on there once in a while. So yeah.
Yeah. It's always, that's just a neat thing. A foreign exchange student comes in and makes a pretty big impact on the team, because you guys were second as a team that year. So you added another runner-up trophy to the collection.
Yeah.
So yeah, you won the 100, you won the 200, you guys won the 4x1. Barry tied for second in the high jump.
Yeah.
I think I got all that in there. You ran a 10.86 in the 100, which beat your 11.1 the year before. So you were still the state record holder, correct?
Right.
You got another year. And then your 200 was a 22 flat, also a state meet record. And was that the one that held until the like 2000, was it like 2005 or 2008 or something like that? It held till, do you remember?
Actually, I was asking my daughter about that today, and it was something like 35 or 36 years from 19.
Yeah, so longer than what I'm thinking, probably. Yeah.
We thought it was 15 or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Right in there. So.
Yeah. The years just blur anymore, and I'm not that old yet. But I'd go to state track every year, and I'd always watch for that leaderboard. They'd show on the big screen who the record holder was, and I was always like, man, that thing's been up there for a long time. That's pretty fun. But yeah. I bet you it's been broken 4 or 5 times since. It seems like anymore.
Yeah.
Kids are breaking records like crazy.
They are. It's just amazing.
Do you follow track and stuff these days?
Oh yeah. That's one thing I really enjoy doing. From, I like watching it on, the professional level and world championships and stuff are going to be in the States this year. And so, I follow it. I really enjoy track and field.
Yep. If there was a 6-meter dash, I would definitely attempt to join in, but I'm not much of a runner, but I do like following it.
Yeah.
Kanawha, they won the small class state title that year, and you guys were second in 2A. Was there any rivalry between you guys back then, or was it pretty separate?
I don't really recall that. I mean, we talk when we go to meets. A lot of meets would be at the same place, and we kind of follow each other around. And I don't ever remember it being real, competitive or anything like that. And,
yeah.
I was really glad that they did well. It made, North Iowa look well,
Yeah. Yep.
There's a lot of good runners,
Yep. And I did a podcast with Rod Barkema. He was the head coach. And I said, can you imagine if Britt and Kanawha were combined back then? Like, you guys would have won probably 5 or 6 state championships in a row at this stage. With right. What they had and what you guys had. You guys got runner-ups in 2A with just 5, 6 guys or whatever. And they had a handful of really good ones, obviously. There'd have to shuffle the lineup around a little bit, but that would have been pretty fun to see.
Yes.
Yeah, so 2 state titles in the 100. You got a 200 title. Now you have a 4x1. And you had one of those already as a freshman. So what's that? 5 state titles you've won in 3 years. Math is hard, but that sounds right. You had 1 year left. What were you thinking going into that senior year?
Oh, I was excited about it, especially, for me, I was looking forward to football again because I thought, our senior year, but So it's with all the sports we had in West Hancock, or I should say Britt back then, it was just fun doing all of them. And so I guess for track, I knew that was probably going to come, but I was excited for football and wrestling before that.
Yeah. Yep. And at this point, were colleges starting to look at you pretty close?
Yeah, I had some, people contacted me. So
Yep. I know you settled on Simpson, but do you remember some of the other schools that were contacting you?
yeah, I had I think maybe South Dakota did state. Then I had some like Northwestern here in Orange City and Iowa State. And, there were the kind of the ones that I guess contacted me, and I actually went and visited, and you and I talked to them too. So,
Yep. Cool.
yeah.
All right. Before we get to that senior year, got to get to a few more of our 20 sponsors for the night. Katie's Salon and Tanning, owned by Katie Walk, is located on Main Street in Titonka. She's been there for about 17 years now. Services offered are men's, women's, and children's haircuts, colors, perms, waxing styles, and tanning, plus many brands of retail are available. Find Katie's Salon on Facebook or Instagram, or call her at 515-928-2303 for appointments, and go Eagles, she says. The Britt Bar and Grill is a veteran-owned sports bar in downtown Britt that offers family dining, fun, and live entertainment. From ribeye steaks or burgers to roasted chicken or wings, come enjoy a meal and a local game on the biggest of screens, or any of your favorite teams you can watch as well. The restaurant is open from 11 to 1 and 5 to 8 Monday through Saturday. The bar is open 11 to 6 on Sundays. First State Bank takes pride in their community-based values, and they want to be your bank. They take pride in serving the Eagle Nation communities. They can personalize your banking products to meet the needs of your busy life with free internet banking and their mobile banking app with mobile deposit. Try their bill pay services. First State Bank backs their Eagles 24/7, just like their service to you. First State Bank, whether it's personal, business, real estate, or ag loans, they have products to serve you best. That's First State Bank in Britt. All right, here we go. 1980 senior season. You guys placed third as a team. So what was that? You went runner-up, fifth, runner-up, third. So you never got that team title, but for a 4-year stretch, that's probably as good as any team in the state. Overall, that's a pretty good run there. Your 4x4 team won state, so that was your 6th state title, either individually or in a relay. You, Barry Reinhardt, Mark Hudson, and Rusty Sheets. Rusty Sheets is an amazing name. What do you know about Rusty? I never heard that name before until I researched.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what year he came in. Like I'm thinking like a junior, maybe junior, senior year. He came to Britt, and yeah, I couldn't. He hadn't been there very long. I do remember that. But
yeah. Yep. Good guy, good athlete.
Yeah, he's a good athlete. Mark and Barry, very good quarter milers, and very, those guys were fun to run with.
Yeah.
I think we didn't decide until right before districts to run the 4x4.
Really?
We were thinking about 4x1, and we just kind of think Sanger said, I think we got a better shot. So we decided to, do it, and good decision on Sanger's part to put us 4 together. So,
yeah. A little bit of magic there. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And Mark Hudson, so we're talking about all the great coaches. We didn't even include Bill Hudson.
Yeah,
he did all right in girls basketball and everything else that he coached. So, yeah, another one to add to the list.
And Mark was an excellent runner. He went on to do real well, So
yeah, yep, good football player too. I remember.
Yep.
Oh, so you rebroke your state record in the 100 with a 10.84. So you beat your record with it was a 10.86. So you got it by 0.02 seconds.
Right.
I was wondering, was it all hand time back then? Did they have any technology they used at state?
Yeah, it was all a fully automatic time,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, because if it's, it used to obviously be all hand time before that time. Man, you could have a state record, and if it was automated, you always wonder how off maybe the hand times were, how accurate they could be. And
well, Drake Relays, was there, so they had all the best there for that too, and so they just carried it over for the state track meet too.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. The 200, you broke your state record with a 21.78, and that's the one that stood for 35 years, correct?
Right,
Yep, beat your 22 flat from the year before.
right.
Yeah, did you make it? I know when Zach made it, and did Jamie ever make it to state?
Yeah, I believe he did too. Yeah.
Okay. Was that always a thing to watch for that, your name to show up on the record board up there when they
It
posted
was,
it during that race?
yeah, it was, yeah, kind of, as time goes on, I can remember at one meet, at one of the state meets, Zach and I were sitting there, and the guy ran the 200. He ran it, I think he ran it 21:80.
Yeah.
So we kind of looked at each other and, well, another year. But
Yeah.
the records, yeah, I'm thankful for them, but they're gonna get beat, and
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. The old phrase, records are meant to be broken, but it is fun to
Yeah,
like every year that it didn't get broken, it was like, I got another one. So
yeah, exactly. And I'd get texts from different people, a couple different guys that always, hey, you made it one more year.
yep. Yep.
So, but
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
it's fun. So how would you sum up your high school track career?
Oh, I was just very thankful to have the chance to do it. I mean, there was a lot of good teammates that made me, better too. We pushed each other, and so I'm just thankful for just the opportunity to be able to be successful in the track. But it's fun to go back and talk and think about all the relationships too with the people. Like, I mean, you did a lot of research here, and I still, talk to a lot of these guys, and it's just fun to talk about it.
Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah.
so,
What would you say made Coach Sanger so successful coaching track?
I don't know. He just had a way of just getting the best out of you and giving you the confidence that you could do it. And I don't know. I just really felt like just his training too, because we were. I mean, we'd seem like we could. My best times were always at the state meet, so we would peak at the right time, and so he just did a really good job of coaching that.
Yep. And like I said, Coach Cousins and maybe Coach Horner. It's always kind of fun to see his right hand man at that time.
Sure.
Always having them helping out, and then it was cool that I don't know how many years it's been, but Coach Sanger put out those DVDs of how to run a track program with a limited staff. Did you ever see those for sale on Amazon or whatever?
No.
Yep. I do a lot of my research for the stuff I do, and so the name Sanger is in my Google search history a lot. And the other day I was looking through AccuWeather, checking out the weather for my golf program, make sure can we get to the course today. And an advertisement that showed up on AccuWeather was Bob Sanger's track DVDs on how to run a program with a limited staff. And I'm tempted to buy it just to have it, to say I have it.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's not like he had a staff of 8 or 9 assistant coaches, and each guy had, they're like, you're the 100 to 200 sprinter guy, you're the 400 coach, you're the discus coach. I mean, he did it all with pretty much one assistant, right?
Yeah, he did. You're exactly right. When you go into like college or a lot of other programs, they have multiple assistant coaches involved. So
Yep. I remember being at Central. They weren't all full-time coaches, but he probably had Kevin Sanger, was probably had 8 to 10 assistant coaches that all helped out and did their
sure.
specialty. So it's,
Yeah,
amazing that he could do that all with just a 1 or 2 man staff.
exactly.
Yep. So what led you to sign with Simpson?
I think a lot of it was I wanted to compete in the sprints, and I felt if I went to like a bigger university or college, I just thought I'd be running relays and more than running individuals. And I just kind of thought the smaller college atmosphere would be fun. And I guess looking back, it's kind of my decision, and it was good. I mean, I really enjoyed my time down there. So it was fun.
Yeah. Besides track, was there anything that kind of led you to Indianola?
Oh, not really. I mean, it was between them and Northwestern out of Orange City.
Yep.
I thought about going out there, and so.
Yep. Yeah. We've lived down here in Indianola for 10 years, and I'll wear my Central gear around town, not even thinking about it, and I'll get some looks like, who's this guy? But and my student teacher plays baseball at Simpson, and they just lost Central in baseball, so always that rivalry never really goes away. But then there's times where I'm like, I've lived here for 10 years, and I forget the college is even here in town. But do you get down here at all for any alumni stuff?
I haven't for a while. I came down. Oh, one year they had my roommate from college was going to be in, and we kind of were down there. Then there's a couple other times we've been down there too for different events. But no, it's been a while again. I did come down there just with my daughter and my wife, just kind of walk through the facilities, and boy, it's really nice down there. The facilities now I see. So
yeah, do you remember when that would have been? How long ago?
Oh, I bet it's probably been 10 years at least now.
Okay. So they've updated a little more since then. But the crazy thing is with Division III college athletics is, even though they've updated in the last 10 years, they're probably still bottom half of the conference in terms of nicest facilities, because it's just a constant one-upmanship on each other's. Like Central just put like 40 million into theirs. Wartburg's probably put that much into theirs. Dubuque will probably compete with a lot of Division I facilities right now. These schools are just fighting like crazy for these athletes to come to their school, because I think 50 to 60% of the student body at these type of schools are athletes. And if you don't have the facilities or the means to compete, you're gonna drown pretty fast. So it's crazy how it goes anymore. But yeah, I saw in the paper, John, is it Curtin? Is that how you would say his name?
John Curtin.
Yep. He said Jeff is a legitimate national caliber sprinter. So I'm guessing he recruited you pretty hard in hopes that you'd come and live up to that hype. What I found was you became the highest scoring track and field athlete in conference history. You won the 100-meter dash all 4 years at Simpson. You ran on 5 conference championship relay teams. You were the 1983 and 84 most valuable athlete during the conference meets, and you were All-American 3 different times. And then I also found that you placed 6th and 5th at the national meet in the 4x4. You were 4th in the 100 in 1983. You were a captain on the team. You guys got 2nd at conference in 1984, the Iowa Conference. And did you know that the Iowa Conference is no longer the Iowa Conference?
Yeah, I was doing some research and realized that it wasn't.
It hurts. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the American Rivers Conference because they want to expand it to teams outside of Iowa. And it's like the North Iowa Conference is gone. The Iowa Conference is gone. It just kind of hurts my I'm an old school traditionalist and I don't like the new stuff. But yeah, how would you sum up your Simpson career?
Oh, it was good. We had it was like a lot of years were fun. That's when, I was dating Becky and then we got married between my junior and senior year. And so it was a good time. Made a lot of friends and still keep in contact with my roommate a little bit, not as often as I'd like, but him and I roomed for 3 years and he was a distance runner.
Okay.
So yeah, it was.
Where was he from?
He was from Manning.
Manning. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we've played IKM Manning in football now in the last couple of years in the playoffs. So yeah, what was that being married in college? What was that like?
Oh, it was great. I mean, yeah, it was just a time, I guess. My wife and I, decided we're gonna get married before my senior year, and so yeah, it worked out good, and very thankful. And
yeah. So when the guys were like, "Hey, we're gonna go out," and you're like, "Well, I have to hang out with the wife," was that?
You know what? She was friends with all the guys, and they welcomed her into the fold well, and she became part of the team. So it was a good time.
Did you guys live off campus, I assume, at that point, or do they have like a married housing?
No, I actually lived in the southern part of Des Moines because
Okay.
Becky worked downtown for a law office. So yeah.
Yeah.
It was, it's not that far to Indianola from, south part of town.
Oh yeah. Yep. We can get to that Southridge area in 12 minutes, I think it is. So
yeah, we weren't very far from that. So
cool. Yep. So right after college, did you make it back to Britt to start farming then? You said, was it 85, 86 you said?
Yep. Started farming pretty much right away. So
yep. Was that like a family farm you took over, or how'd that?
Well, I just it was my brother and my dad were farming, and then I just kind of got integrated into it too. And so now my dad is still farming some, and my son is, Zach is full time farming with us. And then Jameson he works for Syngenta but also helps a lot on the farm. And Chloe's she's out here a lot, helping up in the spring and fall, and she's they don't know what to do without her because she does all my money. So she's awesome to have around. So
and we sat, within a couple feet of each other at the was it the semifinal football game at the Dome?
Yes.
Yeah, and I talked to Chloe and Jordan quite a bit, and you guys a little bit, and I get a little consumed in the game sometimes, and I don't realize a whole lot of who's around me, but it was fun to catch up with a lot of people at the games.
It was.
Do you follow West Hancock sports pretty closely still?
Yeah, I like, Jordan, my son-in-law is an assistant basketball coach.
Yep.
So I've been to quite a few basketball games, and yeah, I follow it, definitely, and watching a lot of it. It's nice that you can watch it online now too.
Yep, the live stream is great.
It is really neat. So
I love it. Yeah, my Friday nights in the fall are laptop on my lap, talking to Jay and Kevin while they're doing the game, doing stats and whatnot for them. And
they
do great. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. I've said this on lots of podcasts, but even for basketball and wrestling, the numbers I hear of people watching from all over the country watching Britt West Hancock athletics is just staggering. It's just like, holy cow, people, that's what makes it cool. People care still. It's not like you graduate, you move on, and then you're like, oh, I heard they were doing okay in this sport. It's like people can probably list off the starting lineups of most of the teams still. They've been out of high school for 10, 20, 30 years even. So it's a lot of fun it means that much to people still. It's been fun to keep up with. So
we have a good following here at West Hancock.
Yep. We're pretty blessed. I was just talking to a West Hancock graduate who is in the teaching field, and she was talking to me about some stuff, and where she's at right now, she's just like, oh man, it's so different from how we grew up. If they do well, they're like, oh great. If they don't do well, they're like, oh well. And she's like, that's not the mentality we had growing up. It was, play to win, and it matters. And I said, yep, tell me about it. I've been in some spots where it's been like that, and it's a hard pill to swallow compared to what we're used to up there. So all right, we're going to wrap things up here. Again, I want to thank my 20 sponsors for sponsoring. That's the Britt Car Bike and Tractor Night Cruise, Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company, Jay Hiscocks Estate Farm Insurance, First State Bank, Mojo Productions, Daniel's Auto Collision, Katie's Salon and Tanning, Diemer Realty, Nick Schmidt, Kelly Real Estate, Sidetrack Lanes, Wilson's Diner, Britt Food Center, Levi Don Trucking, Miller and Sons Golf Cars, Britt Vet Clinic, The World with Nate Podcast, the Britt Bar and Grill, John and Cathy Weiland, and the Original Saw. And that alone right there, that list of mostly all Britt Kanawha businesses, there's a lot of dying small towns out there with hardly any businesses, and with Britt's still just thriving. So that's pretty cool to see. So my next 5 podcasts coming up, I have John Weiland, Mr. Hauge, the 2011 and 2012 girls basketball teams that made it to state, your neighbor, Steve Kelly, and then Nate Schur and I are doing a part 2. And like I've said before, I've booked my entire 2022 lineup, but there's one episode I'm doing in December I'm really, really excited about. I'm doing a non-sports podcast, with some former and current elementary teachers, Mrs. Kitchen, Mrs. Savoy, who you I'm sure know a little bit, Mrs. Hildman, Mrs. McCauley, and Mrs. Farrell. Four of them were my former teachers. Mrs. Kitchen in first grade, Mrs. Hildman in sixth grade, McCauley in fourth grade, and Farrell in third grade. And my goal is to get as many former students who had those teachers to sponsor the episode and just bring in a ton of money for the legacy fund. So I'm going to start plugging that now and getting people to message me that they want to sponsor that episode. So pretty pumped for that one.
Sure.
All right, Jeff, any last words you want to throw out there? Any shout outs or people we forgot to mention? Oh, the Drake relay thing real quick. You said your senior year you got invited down as well. Explain how that went.
Well, they invited the top 32 sprinters from around the state.
All
down
classes. Yep.
All classes, and then they have a first run, like the top 8 go on to finals, and then you can, run in the finals during the day. And I was fortunate enough to win that year, 1980. So
nice. And before we go, I got to share my screen here. I can't not share this. Before we get rounded up here, who's that big dude on the left?
Yeah. That was pretty intimidating because I probably ran one of my worst races in college that day.
Herschel Walker. I think he's running for like senator right now, isn't he?
Yeah. That guy was huge,
Yeah.
But
what
it was fun. The funny part is when they hand on lane assignments, they said, well, you're going to be lined up next to him. And I'm like, oh, good, And well, then following year, it happened again. So it happened 2 years in a row. So I think maybe somebody from Drake did that on purpose.
Did you talk to Herschel at all before, during, or after?
Oh, just good luck or whatever, but not too much. Everybody came, to watch that guy run. So.
And is it the camera angle, the photographer? I mean, are you just half a step behind him there, or what's?
Oh, no. I did not run well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, he was just a beast. Wasn't it the story about he did like 500 push-ups and 500 sit-ups a day or something like that?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Just a machine. And
it was all just he'd do sit-ups and push-ups like I don't know how many a day. It was ridiculous, but
yeah, that was pretty neat. Go from Britt to Simpson to running against Herschel Walker.
Yeah.
And if people are football fans at all, he's the guy the Vikings traded, or the Cowboys traded to the Vikings, and then the Cowboys used all those draft picks to get Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. Like Herschel Walker pretty much won the Cowboys 3 Super Bowls. If you want
exactly.
To put it that way. So, yeah.
No, I guess if you hadn't, I guess I appreciate you doing this. All these podcasts, the time you put in, and the money you raise and stuff like that. It's pretty neat that you take time to do this. So thank you. Yeah. And I guess one of my last comments would be, one of the last times I talked to Bob Sanger was that I think they had like a deal at the grade school gym.
Yep.
And I was talking to him and he looked at me and said, do we have fun? And I said, we had a lot of fun, Bob.
Yep.
So I'll never forget that, So it was fun, being coached by him.
Yep. For as serious as he could be and competitive as he could be, there's just a lot of good memories and good times, and made us the people that we are. So pretty neat. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up, and I appreciate it. Thanks to Becky for helping with some of the communication and the technology piece. We always have our better halves sometimes behind the scenes, and
sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, go Eagles.
All right.